Over the years, we've had the good fortune to have worked on a lot of Ferraris. Everybody's got to like Ferraris. They are one of the most significant exotic cars. They've got a fabulous history, both racing and just as street cars. They've made the Italian red absolutely famous worldwide, and they're great cars. I mean, they're cars I've had the great fortune of having had a couple of, and there's nothing more fun than just stroking down the road in that beautiful red Ferrari. But that said, there's a downside to them too, and the downside is when you have to work on them. The engineering of Ferraris is sort of purposely made to be rather complex and difficult to get to. They like to keep, the work for their dealers in the house. Not a lot of information available on Ferraris. They keep, information quite close to the chest. So, they are a bit of a problem. But that said, as they get older, like this 308, the dealers have less and less interest in doing them, and they sort of go out to other shops. And this we found ourselves. Over the years, I've done quite a few 308s, 328s, 512 TRs, and Testarossas. We have this little 308 in here. It's a really nice car. It's clearly been looked after, but it is getting a little down at the hills right now. Apparently, the compression is not good on this car, and there's quite a few mechanical things that we're going to have to attend to. So Tom is basically going to have to pull the engine out. We're going to track that entire process from the beginning to the end of it. We're also going to do the suspension, and Ferrari suspensions are, well, they're not fun to work on. But anyway, let's take a look at the engine, and I'll give you Tommy's. Now, the 308s were a transversely mounted 8-cylinder engine, and, while it looks like everything's accessible, there's 4 of the spark plugs that are really easy to get to, and 4 of them, well, they weren't, were they?
No, they were very much a pain. Yeah.
So as you can see, basically the other 4 are tucked down in behind the firewall, with no accessibility except to squeeze in from the top. Now, some cars like Panteras actually had a nice hatch, so you actually had to take the seats out, but you could get at the engine. Ferrari didn't bother to do that. You did manage to get a compression test on this.
Yeah, I was able, after a little finicking around, I was able to get it in and got the compression test. Unfortunately, it's not good news, the findings. So it is burning oil, and 4 of the 8 cylinders, there's low compression, with cylinder number 8 being like really low, being at 80.
Yeah. Did you do a wet dry where you put oil in?
With oil, it did bring it up, but not exactly where I want it to be.
So we've got rings and dumps.
I mean, I think it might be the rings. Might just need a hone or so. It might be all right.
But that said, well, of course, you can't do any of that without actually removing the engine. And that's a bit of a task. So I guess right now we're waiting to inform the owner that he's got low compression.
Yes.
And that we're going to have to pull the engine out, so we'll be following that process as Tom is working on it. You've also got bushings in front and back end.
Yeah, all up to the lower control. Both things are pretty much shot out of it, so we're going to do all the full suspension bushing and everything.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's going to be a good story to follow, so it should be interesting to see right from the beginning to the end of the project. Thanks a lot, man.
One of the most critical pieces of equipment that any shop can have is a hoist. I mean, without a hoist, well, life is a little miserable laying on your back.
Like poor Ron, who's laying underneath a Mustang right now looking at the fuel pump.
Thanks to Rotary, this isn't as much a problem for us anymore.
We've had several different hoists over the years.
We're sort of stuck now on Rotary's hoist. And the reason for that is I had 2 Rotary hoists and 1 other manufacturer's hoist. And honestly, the other hoist used to cost us more in maintenance than both Rotary. We've got 5 Rotary hoists right now. 3 of them just came in courtesy of Rotary. And 2 of them are blue, 1 of them is black. And this is going to be our special projects area right here. While we got a Ferrari on it right now, it's actually going to be home for the Aston Martin project when we pull the Aston Martin's driveline out, replace it with something reliable, and do a full custom job on it. If you wanted to see more on this Ferrari 308, stay tuned.
Hey everybody, I'm Scotty from Scotty's Gran Turismo. This is my Ferrari shop and engine shop. We do Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati, and today we have a set of 308 GTB 2-valve carbureted heads in that are in a disastrous state, low compression in 2 cylinders. They have terrible sodium-filled valves that are just ticking time bombs that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when they break and destroy your whole motor. Thankfully, these heads have come in before that's happened because of the low compression situation. What we're going to do is we're going to strip these heads right down. We have 1-piece stainless steel valves that are going to be going in them, as well as all new bronze, solid bronze guides. We'll do a multi-angle valve job, resurface. We'll set the valve lash again for the customer. This came from a well-known restoration shop here in Canada, and they sent it to us because we're the experts on 308 engines, Ferrari engines, Lamborghini engines. We got a V12 Diablo engine in the works there right now. It's going through the testing phase as we put it together. We're checking piston to valve clearance, and then we'll be on the final assembly of that motor. But today the 308 has come in, and these guys are looking for it fairly fast, and we're going to start tearing them apart and give you some updates as we go along. So we're back on these 308 GTB heads this morning after changing out all the valve guides, getting rid of all the worn valve guides, and getting rid of the worn valves that are sodium filled, that are, like I explained in the first video, are ticking time bombs. These are out. 1-piece stainless valves are in. All of the new bronze, solid bronze guides are in. And on Ferrari particularly, what happens when you install new valve guides is the valve guide and seat are not concentric anymore. So we have to cut the seats in order to make them concentric to the valve guide. So the valve, when it does land on the seat, forms a perfect seal all the way around. That's not easily done by a lot of shops. There's some sophisticated equipment that's going to do that and do it accurately with very little run out. All new stainless 1-piece valves, all new solid bronze guides, multi-angle valve job. We decked the surfaces to get them flat for the new head gasket to go on the block, and now we're putting timing belts on. We're going to do the final valve adjustment now that the heads are torqued on and the timing belts are going to be on. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. We're going gonna turn it over again twice while bolts are all in, pegs are in. Okay, go for it. 17 the rest of the way. Good man. So we spin the motor around twice because the crankshaft turns twice for every one camshaft revolution. So in order to put all the marks for the camshafts back up online, we have to spin the crankshaft twice, bring it back up to top dead center. Then all of our 4 marks on our camshafts will align with the caps, and the flywheel will align with top dead center, piston number 1. That's in the paint. Yeah, I'm happy with that. We're gonna get any better than that. Turn it over a few more times. All right. Keep going. That belt's going to stretch a little bit, and that tensioner's going to loosen up a little bit. We don't want to be fooling ourselves, right? So yeah, get her to fall into place, get her to loosen up a little bit. Lower down. You're coming up, right? Yep. Around there, I think. Yeah.
These are the rubber bands that they always scream you got to constantly keep changing them or your car's going to blow up. And Ferrari wants $10,000 to change them, and it only costs her $2,200 to change them if you do them in-house. Because we did my 512 twice.
512's engine out the top.
Yep.
Testarosa's engine out the bottom.
They kept on telling me, well, they fixed all the problems with the Testarossa by making the 512.
Yeah, right.
They kept on telling, you gotta change the belts, you gotta change the belts, you gotta, I went, frick, I don't have to change the belts, until I heard it going whack, 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 back inside the casing. I went, okay, now it's time to change the belts.
The problem is that the stakes are so high for success and failure with one of those motors that the timing belts actually don't break like you would think, oh, it snapped like that. That's not what happens on those motors. The timing belt starts to rip around here all the way around. Yeah. And because those cars sit for so long, all the grease in the tensioners goes to the bottom. So you're essentially dry starting that motor every season you take it out. And the off-gassing of the rubbers is horrible on those cars. Those cars, Ferraris just wear out sitting in the shop.
I know.
Sitting in your heated garage, Ferraris wear out.
What I used to tickle me with the 512 was you could count on every 5th or 6th turn on the ignition key to blow huge clouds of frickin' oil smoke out the back of it, because it would just
Because it's a
down.
boxer.
Yeah.
It's a flat 12, and they're prone to oil burning on startup.
But I had 80,000 on mine.
But it needed valve guides, David.
I had 80,000 on it. I go, 80,000 on a Ferrari? That's worn out. That thing's worth nothing. I think I got like 45,000 for it. You know, now it'd be significantly more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I got a Testarossa in the shop right now where it's got running it.
And you know, it's really funny because everybody makes a big fuss about them, but you know, I had a 4-cylinder Lotus Esprit twin turbo. Could eat them for breakfast.
Yeah.
Just 4-cylinder, way faster.
But it doesn't have a horse on it.
Yeah, there is that. Well, you could put a horse on it. Everybody go, is that a Ferrari? No, the Lotus.